The following video contains references to various areas of BDSM that may make our audience feel very uncomfortable. Therefore, it has been given the following rating: human. Hello, Scary Strawman here. My third pronoun is Magnificent Bastard, spoken in a tone of awe and admiration. And I wish to talk to you about a certain incident known as the kidnapping that occurred 1 month previously. Now, a large amount of news outlets such as CNN, Fox News, etc. have reported on this particular case, and although a lot of the information in the investigation has not been released to the public, one of the few things that was released was an association with a website known as FetLife, in which the person had discussed on a forum about kidnapping and asked them about how to actually get away with such an action, which is calling upon a issue about whether or not a website such as that should have the freedom in order to release this kind of information to the public. Personally, I consider them as not very well researching the actual website itself. I mean, if they went on it and started actually talking to some of the people there, they would have gotten a more accurate thing, such as what I myself did. See, a large amount of that information tends to focus that you can have that is available there tends to be based on second-hand knowledge of various things such as crime shows, etc., in which knowing about DNA and whatnot, as well as general ideas such as basic bondage and maneuvers in order to keep a person restrained in various different ways, which you can easily find on the web because we live in such an environment that you can get the information wherever you want. This particular event wasn't the first time in which FetLife got into the news due to an incident by one of the people. Most notable was the wolf incident, which occurred roughly 6 months ago in Sydney, Australia, in which two people participating in consensual non-consent, aka operating a BDSM scene without a safe word or clear delineation of exactly what the person can do to you. And whilst under those conditions, they did certain actions that are debatable about whether or not it would constitute it. I mean, if you have a basis such as you can do whatever the hell you want to me, it's kind of hard to debate whether or not doing whatever the hell you want to them, it would constitute it or not. Personally, if you were to participate in it, keep in mind that whether or not it will apply for sexual assault is up to the discretion of the individual judges, and so is very, very unadvisable. Understanding what happened after the last event kind of thing, which occurred 6 months ago, and if you think that that's remarkably short degree of time, keep in mind that we are talking about a website that has roughly 5 million people, and when you consider that that's roughly the population of New Zealand, if having 2 incidences within a single year is remarkably low. The main problem with them proposing various ways to get rid of a large amount of these effects is the fact that it really does not stop people from getting this information. I mean, considering that after preceding the Wolf event, they had a crackdown where they got rid of various things such as consensual non-consent, rape play, which is pretty much the same as role playing, except for you are role playing as a rapist and a rape victim. Race play, because turns out that they seem to draw the line. You can have a black slave and chain them up and whip them, but using the N-word is somehow not acceptable, which seems a bit arbitrary to say the least. Various mutilation kind of things, such as hooks driven into flesh, blood streaming everywhere, and also things such as intoxication play, which is more or less getting drunk and fucking, or various other things, which a lot of people would have a problem with, mainly because like a large amount of the other BDSM things revolve around pain. Alcohol dulls it, so it's very hard to actually, do it properly, but I suppose for everyone there is some exceptions. Oh, and they also banned age play, which is pretty much pretending to be quite younger than you actually are, and various other things attributed to innocence. But if you actually have, and they have it up on the website, like when it comes to what they banned after that incident, so you can freely see it for yourself. But if you actually, talk to the people, you find out that the number one thing that most people did after the crackdown was immediately decide, okay, they could potentially get rid of all of the things we like here. Yes, let's go to other sites that allow it. So effectively what Fox and a whole bunch of other people are saying is more or less, oh, yes, cut down off a head of a hydra. Then there would be 2 hydras. Then we cut off another one. And there'll be 2 more. And more and more. Now, a lot of these are more extreme elements in which a lot of people would have a thing. For the last one that they actually banned was hypnosis, which was freaking stupid. I mean, hypnosis as by its very definition, you have to want it to happen for it to actually occur. So it literally has consent built into the bloody thing. So it's more of like advanced form of mediation. So you might as well just say something like, "Oh my God, that person is meditating. Get him! Get him!" I mean, I would be more sympathetic to them trying to actually stop that kind of thing if it actually did anything, but as it is, all they're really doing is this drawing attention and giving a bad name to a community that by and large takes a lot of things that mainstream society, such as consent and whatnot, a lot more bloody seriously, mainly because the fact that when you're walking the fine line of mainly because unlike mainstream society where if the person has bruises, cuts or scars from a sexual encounter is an indication that they have been sexually assaulted, if you're part of a community in which that's the norm, then having a clear way of actually differentiating between abuse and BDSM is incredibly important, hence why we put so much value on that. Suppose that's a major reason why FetLife kind of relaxed a lot of their more forwarding things about that, because they realized that they weren't really going to help anything, but officially stating they are banning that kind of stuff. So if you want to do something like that, you have to DM it. It's actually really interesting, some of the stuff they say, the Fox News say, such as mentioning that, oh, some of the people operate in Antarctica. Well, if they literally just had a direct message with one of the people from Antarctica, they would realize that Antarctica is pretty much saying, blank from places unknown in because you have to always state what country you're part of, so they just put Antarctica if they don't want people to know their exact location, which is more or less saying that I have no interest in meeting anyone over this particular thing or participating in any of the events and merely want to see what's happening, that kind of thing, which is a fair enough assessment if you so decide that.